Hello children, let me welcome you to the virtual training center of the Brihan Mumbai Mahanagar Palika. My name is Shraddha teacher. Children, we are in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic, isn't it? Because of that, we are not able to go to school, but that doesn't mean that we are going to stop learning. We are going to meet here regularly through the virtual training center to learn many lessons in EVS. So come on, let's go to a lesson in EVS. Come on children, let me welcome you to a lesson in Standard 3rd EVS. Now, the lesson for today will be the last lesson that we are doing in this year's EVS, and the name of the lesson is lesson number 25, Changes in Our Surroundings. Now, if you look at the picture also over here, you can see a lot of trees in the background. You can see grass, you can see the children going to school. Alright, in this lesson also we are going to talk about our surroundings, that is the things which we can see around us, the natural things and the changes which keep on occurring in these natural things. So what are the things that we see around us? We see the trees, we see the sun, we see the moon, water, etc. And there are many changes also which happens in all these. For example, we have day, we have night, and in the previous lesson when we learnt about clothes, we discussed that seasons also change, and according to the seasons we also change. Alright, so today let us look at all the changes which happen on a daily basis around us, and because of these changes what other things also happen. So this is going to be a very interesting lesson. So I would advise you to pick up your EVS textbook and come to page number 143. So you will find this particular lesson number 25, Changes in Our Surroundings, on this page. Alright, so then we will be able to study the lesson together. So are you ready? Can we start? Come on, so let's go to our lesson for today, Changes in Our Surrounding. Let us start with a very important thing that we see. Every day we go to sleep at night, and then when we get up in the morning, we see the sun out in the sky. And we call this as daytime. What do you call it? We call it as daytime. Okay, so now during the daytime we can see so many things around us clearly. Okay, at the same time when it is around 8 o'clock in the night, what happens? The same sun which was there in the sky, it disappears. You can't see the sun anymore. Does it mean that there is complete darkness? Yes, on certain days there is complete darkness, but on other days you can see the moon and the stars in the sky. So if you look at this picture, you have the same things in the picture. You have the same trees, you have the same water fountain, you have even the same dog standing there outside the window. But look how the daytime surrounding looks like and how the night time surrounding looks like. So during the night time we see the same things, but we see them a little differently. Now why is that? Why does this happen? It happens because during the day we get sunlight. Alright, at around 6:30, 7 in the morning, depending on the season. Now during the summer season, right now you see the sun out in the sky at 6:30 also, sometimes 6 o'clock also there is light. But during the rainy season, during the winter season, you have to wait a little longer for the sun to rise. Alright, so during the day we get sunlight, and that is the reason we can see things around us very clearly. Now during the night what happens? After the sun goes away, after the sun sets, what happens? It starts becoming dark and dark, and then there is not enough light, and then we start seeing the stars in the sky at night. Okay, but can you see things very clearly as you can see during the day? No, you cannot see things very clearly. See, there are a lot of stars in the sky. But then you can see only the road in front of you where the light of the car falls. Otherwise, around you, you cannot see anything during the night time. That is because of the absence of sunlight. Alright, so this is a very, very important change that happens in our surrounding on a daily basis. We have sunrise and we have sunset. Sunrise brings the mornings with it. Here, okay, we get a lot of sunlight, we can see things very, very clearly. But sunset takes the sun away from us, and then we cannot see things clearly, and the sky becomes dark, and then we can see certain other things that we cannot see during the day. That is, we can see the stars, we can see the moon, etc. So children, the day and night, it affects the life of us human beings, it affects the life of animals, it affects the life of birds, etc. So day and night, it affects the life of all living beings. Now when you go to a higher class, you will learn how this day and night is formed and why the day and night occurs. Why does the sun rise? Why does the sun set? All this you will learn. Very interesting things you will learn when you go to a slightly higher class. Alright, now let us learn about another important concept regarding day and night. Okay, so see, this is the day and this is the night. The same place, but during the day you have the sun shining, during the night you have the moon and the stars in the sky. Alright, so hope the idea of the difference or the change that occurs in our surroundings due to the day and night is clear to you. Can we move on? See, what is this? This is the time when the sun is rising in the sky. Can you see the color? Alright, look at the color of the sun and look at the color of the sky also. It is so different. See the sky, the color of the sky changes before sunrise. So during the night time, the color of the sky is dark. But just before the sun rises, the color of the sky starts changing. It starts becoming golden. Okay? And see, when the sun sets also, the color of the sky starts changing. So during the day, the sky is very bright. And during sunrise and during sunset, the color of the sky is golden. Okay? So now there is one more thing that we have to study. As a result of sunrise, something else happens, and that is the formation of shadows. So what is a shadow, children? See, there is this long clock, and there is a sun which is behind the clock. Can you see? Behind the clock there is the sun, and you can see this dark portion here. So this dark portion is the shadow of this clock. Now why shadows are formed? Shadows are formed because of the light of the sun falling on this clock. Alright, now let us talk about how the shadows change, okay, and how these shadows move also. These shadows can sometimes move. They can grow big, they can grow small. So see, these shadows are magical. So let us learn a little bit more about these shadows. See, this is how the shadow of anything. Now this is the shadow of a person. It looks at sunrise. So when the sun is rising, the shadow of the person looks like this. Alright, it is long. Now the sun has risen a little bit. Okay. So now you can see the shadow has become a little smaller. Alright. And when the sun is overhead, overhead means when it is 12 o'clock in the noon, and when the sun is on top of your head. Where is the sun? See, here it is. When the sun is on top of your head, see the shadow of the tree? Here the sun is on top of the tree. So see, the shadow of the trees become so small. Alright. That means as the sun moves in the sky, the shadow of the things also change. Their size changes, their direction changes. Okay, so let us see some more pictures so that you will understand. See, at sunset, evening time, this girl has gone to the beach. And look at the size of the girl, she's so small. Look at the size of her shadow, it is so long, isn't it? So, during sunrise and during sunset, you have long shadows. Okay, see, this is also during sunset. See the papa and the sun. Their height is so small actually. But look at the shadow. It looks like the shadow of some giants, isn't it? So, during sunrise and during sunset, you have long shadows, and at other times, you have short or small shadows. So, what are long and short shadows? Let us see. So, here in the first picture, you will see that the sun is rising. Okay, can you see how the sun is rising? And then can you see the shadow? See, here is the sun, and the shadow is on the opposite direction of the sun. Alright, and then here the sun has risen. See, this is the sun. The sun has risen a little further. So from here, the sun has come here. And you will also see that the shadow has become a little smaller. Can you see the shadow here? See, the shadow has become a little smaller. Here the shadow was bigger. Here the shadow has become a little smaller. And the shadow has also moved. Okay, now in this we will look at only the size of the shadow. We will see how the shadow moves in the next picture. So the sun has risen a little further. And in the next picture, you will see that the sun is overhead. So it is 12 o'clock in the afternoon. The sun is overhead. And then look at the size of the shadow. It has become the smallest. Alright. So you can see what is the meaning of long shadows and short shadows. So as the sun moves, the size of the shadow becomes bigger or smaller. Now this size of the shadow depends on this angle. Okay. See, here we have the sun. And here we have the tree. So here this angle is small. Alright. And then look here. Here the sun has come further down and the angle has become bigger. So when the angle is small, when the gap between the thing and, once again, the gap between the thing and the sun, when it is small, we have short shadow. And when the gap or the angle between the sun and the thing is bigger, we have long shadows. So, understood the meaning of what are long and short shadows? Let us take one more look here. See, there is this boy standing. There is the sun. So this is morning, this is little bit after morning, this is noon, and then this is 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and then this is evening. And look at the shadow of the boy. So in the morning the shadow is here, it is a long shadow. Then because the sun has gone a little bit up, the shadow has become a little shorter. At noon the shadow is shortest, and when the sun starts setting, the shadow also becomes longer again. So this, children, is the meaning of long and short shadows. Okay, let us go to some more interesting concepts about sun and shadows. We will see how the shadows change their place also. So shadows move during the day. Shadows move during the day. How do they move? We have learned that only living things can move. So animals can move, human beings can move. So how is the shadow moving? Come on, let's see the fun, how the shadow moves. So watch the shadow of the stick. So where is the stick? Here we have the stick. Okay, and here we have the sun. This is just one sun. It is rising in the east. Okay, and it will set in the west. That means this sun, it will start rising from here. in the east. Alright, it will be overhead here at noon, and then after the noon it will start setting, that it will start going away from us. Alright, now I want you to observe the shadow of this particular stick. So we have the stick over here, and we will start seeing the shadow of the stick. So when the sun is rising here at 6 a.m., see, we have the shadow here. Alright, so this is the shadow of the stick when the sun is rising. So see, when the sun is rising in the east, the shadow is in the west. Is it clear to you? When the sun rises in the east, the shadow will be in the opposite direction, that is in the west, and it will be a long shadow. Now the sun has gone little bit higher. See, the sun is here now, and the shadow has also moved towards the west. Can you see? It is moving. Now the sun is going and the shadow is also going in the opposite direction. Look at the length of the shadow also. The length of the shadow has become a little smaller. What about the next position? See, we have the sun here, and the shadow has become little smaller again, and it has moved again towards the east. Now east and west are the directions, okay children? We have 4 directions now. We have learnt in a previous lesson. We had a full lesson about directions: north, south, east and west. And we learnt that the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. So our shadows move from the west and they go to the east. When the sun goes from the east to the west, so they go in opposite directions. Alright, and then we have 12 noon. See, the sun is exactly on top of the stick. This is the stick. The sun is here. So it is 12 o'clock in the afternoon. And where is the shadow? Here it is. And now the shadow is shortest. The length of the shadow at 12 o'clock in the noon is the shortest, sabse chota. During sunrise and sunset, it is longest, sabse lamba. Okay. Now the sun will go towards the west. See, the sun has gone towards the west, and our shadow is gone towards the east, and it is becoming longer also. Can you see? Look at the next sun, next position of the sun. Sun has gone to the west further, so our shadow has gone to the east further, and the length is also improving, increasing. And finally at 6 p.m. the sun is setting and our shadow is the longest. So at 6 a.m. in the morning, that is at sunrise, and 6 p.m. in the morning, evening at sunset, we have the longest shadows. Alright, so I'm saying 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. sunrise and sunset. The time can change, okay? According to seasons, the time of the sunrise and sunset keeps on changing. But this is just an example. So we have said 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. So this is how, children, the shadows move also, and the shadows keep on changing in size also. Alright, so I hope this idea of shadows is very, very clear to you. And you will also see that after sunset, after the sunsets in the night, we cannot see shadows. Of course, because of the lights, tube lights, etc., you can still see shadows. But then if you are talking about shadows because of the sun, after the sunset, we cannot see shadows. So once again, let us talk about long and short shadows. Look at the picture, you will understand. In the morning, the sun rises in the east. Before the sun rises, what do we see? We see no shadow. But as soon as the sun rises, we start noticing the shadow of the stick that we have. As the sun rises in the east, the shadow starts rising or forming in the west. And then the sun goes towards the west, the shadow goes towards the east. and the size also of the shadow keeps on changing. Alright, so this is a very, very important point that we have to study today about shadows. Now you know one thing, people or tourists, they go specially to hill stations like Mahabaleshwar, Matheran, Darjeeling, etc. in order to see the sunrise and sunset. And in the place called Mahabaleshwar, which is a very famous tourist spot or a famous hill station in Maharashtra, people go specially to see the sunset. And there is a point made for this, which is known as the sunset point. So you can not only see the sun setting here, you can see the sun rising also here. Okay, so this is how you can see sunrises and sunsets. See, even in our place we can see sunrise and sunset, but because of a lot of buildings and everything, we cannot see the sun properly rising in the sky. But if you go to a hill station, it is all open, it is natural, there are lots of hills, so you can see the sun coming out of the hills. You can see the sun going down in the hills. Okay, so this is sunset. See how people have lined up in order to see the sun setting. In the same way, people also go to such places in order to see the sun rise. Okay, so you can see sunrise as well as sunset at such beautiful places. Now, we will see the last point for today. Okay, this is a long lesson. So we will see half of the lesson today and the remaining half we will do it in the next video. So if you look at this picture, it is a picture from the textbook. So we are going to take a look at the scenery around us at sunrise. So what different things can you see in this picture? You can see an open space, you can see a tree, a pond, some mountains, and of course you can see the sun rising. Okay, and because the sun is rising, there are a lot of changes which are happening. See, the birds have all flown out of the trees. Like in the morning, you will see that as soon as it is morning, your father gets up, he becomes ready, he has a bath, he has his breakfast, and he goes to work. In the same way, the birds also start going to work as soon as the sun rises. And there is a very another interesting thing which happens in the mornings. If you are lucky, you will be able to hear it around you. Or look here, let me show you what happens. So what did you see there? What did we see in this picture? We saw cocks crowing, okay, roosters, the male hens. So early in the morning, you can hear the birds chirping. You can see the rooster near you also crowing. If you don't have a rooster near you, I have shown you how a rooster crows. And then of course we see the birds leaving their nest. So they start flying away from their nest. Why are they doing that? They're doing that in order to search for food. Because it is daytime now, they will need to eat. They might be hungry. So that is why they start leaving their nests. Now along with the birds, along with the human beings, we also see flowers start to bloom gradually. So early in the morning, you will see these flowers, they start blooming. Their petals, they start unfolding. See, the petals are also opening up now. So the petals start unfolding. Okay, see here how the petal is unfolding. Beautiful, isn't it? So the petals start unfolding, and you know that inside these flowers we have the sweet nectar. So these birds, bees, they come and they sip this nectar in order to make honey. So the bees also start working early in the morning. So as soon as it is morning, the bees know that now the flowers are going to open up. So they also get to work. Okay, they start collecting honey from all these flowers. Alright, see, the bee collecting honey from the flowers. Okay, and then we also get to work early in the morning. Like I told you, as soon as it is morning, your papa gets up and your papa gets ready and he goes to work. So the bees go to work, the birds go to work, our parents go to work, and we, what do? We get ready to go to school. But that is not happening now. Okay, it will happen very soon. As soon as the pandemic ends, all of us will get up in the morning and have a bath, have breakfast, and happily we will go to school, where we will meet our friends, we will meet our teachers. So let us pray to God that this happens very, very soon. So children, that was the first part of the lesson for you. Lesson number 25, changes in our surroundings. Now in the next part of the lesson, we will talk about the changes which happen after the sun sets. So these were all the changes which happened at sunrise. So in the next video, we will talk about how the sun sets and then how the world changes. We will also talk about certain new terms like rumination, nocturnal, etc. And then there is a very, very important concept that we will learn next time. That is, we will learn about phases of the moon. Okay, so this will be for a later date. So I hope you have enjoyed this video and hope you have understood a lot about changes which happen in the nature. So children, wasn't that a very interesting lesson? I'm sure you learnt a lot of new things in this lesson. If you have liked this video, please hit the like button and also subscribe to my video so that you will get to see all the videos which I keep posting regularly.